Good evening and welcome to the Q&A for Keith Haring, 1989 Barcelona. My name is Ramon Lamarca from the Cambridge Film Festival, one of the 4 festivals that have collaborated to bring the Amplify Online Film Festival to you. I'm going to make some questions, and you will have the opportunity also to ask any questions you may have. You can use the chat box on your computer, and I will collect those questions and ask them later on. We are delighted to have the world premiere of this fantastic documentary, and we are also very grateful to have one of the directors, Lulu Martorell, with us today to talk about the documentary. Good evening, Lulu, and welcome to the festival. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you very much.
The documentary uses very interesting footage, home video, which I believe that has been mostly unseen for all these 30 years. How did you come across this footage, and how did the idea of the documentary arise?
Okay, it's true. This documentary basically it exists because this footage. I remember 89. I was in Barcelona. I was 30 years old because I was born same year than Keith, 58. So we were quite 30, and he was coming to Barcelona, my city. I was knowing him. I admire him a lot, but I was not in Barcelona that day. He came to paint this enormous mural that finally is like a little bit his legacy, his testament. Because after this, before 1 year, he died. So it's really a very important thing that he was doing forced because he had no time. He knew that he was at the end of his life, damned with for AIDS condition, and so he was coming, and I was not there. So always I had the like I was angry because I was not there, and I was not knowing him, and a lot of other people was knowing him because they were there, and he was so friendly, and all was very normal, very simple, and at the same time I was feeling that was very 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 important, important intervention, important. Um, in terms of not just with terms of art, in terms of social activism. In let's say it was a moment. Maybe the artists in that moment they were implicated really on political and social stuff. So for me it was very important. I was missing it. So suddenly 30 years later, so 2 years ago, I was working to do something, talking with graphology, something about the way of writing and this, and I was looking for some images to explain this, and I was thinking Haring, and I was looking, and I found in YouTube simply like this that this day of Haring was images in video because it was 4 minutes there. So I was looking for who was the owner of this tape, and claro, had to be like this. Was Cesar de Melero, that was the DJ that was in Ars Studio, that at the moment was the first club in Barcelona, starting with the acid house. That was the music, let's say, that Haring was enormous supporter of this hip hop and especially acid house. So they were being he was going there. They were connecting very easily. He was painting in the disco that night. So it was a little bit. He take a camera like this and say, "Well, I'm sure that if I had shot all this intervention, all this visit of having Barcelona, this is important." he didn't know how to record nothing. He just had a new camera there waiting for this occasion. So he was shooting all, and he was keeping this in his house, thinking always, I know that I have a nice material, but I have to wait till a moment that people will recognize the importance of this. So at the end, waiting, he was waiting like for 30 years. And when I called him to ask for these images, he said to me, no, I don't want to give it to you because my idea is to make a documentary about this, because I think that there's a lot of power inside. And I said, you want this? So give me the 30 seconds I want, and I will make you a documentary, because I'm sure that I will enjoy a lot. He told me that he had 60 minutes of material. So I said, well, with this, for sure, there's energy and influx and something. And well, this is the film. This is the history about the film.
Absolutely fascinating. And obviously the documentary, I think there is a wonderful combination of the footage with the interviews and Keith diaries. And of course, one of the subtitles of your documentaries is 30 years positive. And I was thinking, looking at the images of Keith, so determined, with that energy, that positive attitude and determined, doing the work in Barcelona, which is, of course, the fight against AIDS. So I think the overall conclusion I take from the documentary is a positive one. Maybe the fight hasn't been won completely, but the outlook is quite positive. Would you agree with that being the message?
Yeah. And in fact, for this is the subtitle that in fact is the title. But the other one situates more the history, Barcelona Herring 89. But in fact, the name is 38 positive years, because it's after 30 years, we realize that Herring's work is going up and higher each time, more and more. So he doesn't disappear like this because he's dead. So when he said art is more important than life, in fact, he was right. So he is going up, and the history and the fight against AIDS is quite a successful fight, because it's true that now is not the problem it was. But it's true also that these 30 years we can talk about positive end, or happy end, let's say, like this, because they were fighting a lot. Otherwise, we will be like this. So it means if you improve, if you are concerned in your things, you can win. Otherwise, for sure not. And if you look at the mural, the sentence is this: together we can win this battle. Uh, that you say, well, totally true, maybe not, but anyway, you have to fight.
I
Even to
think
lose,
that
you have to fight. And he
absolutely.
was like this because at the end of his life, 3,000 days before dying, he was there giving all this energy, all this joy, enjoying each second of his life. This is already a positive attitude, even just to to be thankful for this implication on art. I like a lot in plus to can talk about something social thing through art. I think it's the way I would like to live. Yeah, that the things were arranged because some artists come to me and give me the solution. It's not like this because it's difficult, all is difficult. But this documentary is like a dream on this, no?
Seeing the
Let's
documentary,
fight, let's fight. Don't give
absolutely.
up.
Seeing the documentary, this activism aspect comes through very clearly. And you can see some of the neighbors, for instance, saying, oh, if you mention the word AIDS here, people are not going to come, our business is going to be affected. And it made me think on how much things have luckily changed over the years. At that point, people wouldn't use the word. It was like hidden. And that, of course, affected very much people who were suffering. And what Keith did was, no, actually, let's put it in the open very clearly. Let's talk about it. Let's solve it. And I think seeing your documentary has shown over these 30 years how attitudes have changed thanks to the work of people like Keith Haring. So
yeah, of course, because the first one was very difficult to say that I'm positive and say, look, here's the cross. I'm positive. This was this was very brave. Nobody was ready for this, and even the close people said to these ones, the brave ones, they were saying, but why you? It's better to hide it. People will not like you. People will put you away of the work. It's true. They had a lot of problems, but the way to arrange it is not to hide. Is precisely to make this effort and to be no. Me, I'm positive, and you have to respect me as a normal person. And the problem is on you, not on me.
absolutely.
And this battle, so hard battle, was because really they were dying. They were dying like people and people and people, and nobody wanted to talk with them or to talk about them. So it was clear that this was not the way. And these people was discovering a little bit. And the other day, remember, we were talking about now again with the pandemic, like the COVID, and it's very different. And somehow there's a part better because there's no so much. I mean, ¿cómo os digo? They are not condemned, no? They are not so damned. The social,
There is no social stigma.
exact the stigma, but they have no rights for nothing. At that moment of 80s, the age of 80s, the people with AIDS were fighting them, the ill people were going there to fight, to exist, the authorities to go in a way that they were agree. Not they say this that in the film is very important because there's one moment saying you can say that ACT UP or all the activism was filling the streets and making conscientiation to the people. But a doctor saying was not just this. They were they were being very important in the how is called this els que s'ocupen de legalitzar les medicines als Estats Units.
Drug agencies.
So they were influencing them.
Yeah.
This is like something special. It's very important. And they were saying, in this direction, we don't want. Nothing about us without us, they were saying.
That's what the
And
doctor.
this was the principles in Denver, 83. So it's impressing how the people with AIDS in the 80s were fighting for the solution of his illness. And this I don't see it now. So maybe, but I don't see also artists so engaged like Haring was being there.
Different times, yeah.
It's different moment. It's more conservative moment, I think. Everybody very peaceful in his house. The coach with the internet. We have. It seems that we have all. And finally, you don't fight for your rights.
Certainly.
So I think that this is a chronicle of a history of fight that I'm very happy to can realize that was very nice. But at the end, I'm a little sad that was not enough lesson, because we are a little, we are not brave as
I understand. I understand. Um, Also, your documentary shows the importance of music, as you have said, in the work of Herring. All this dynamic in his painting, all these strokes. He was always working with the music, and he had his tape player. Again, something from decades ago, tape players, cassettes, and also when he was going to the arts studio. And I think there is something very, the treatment of music in the documentary is very nice. The way you keep the beat, the steady beat, as he was, working until the end. And then his passing, the way you signal his passing is with a slowing down of the beat until the beat stops. And that's very beautifully done. Could you tell us a bit about the approach of the music for the documentary, knowing that Keith gave it such an importance?
From the beginning was clear that the music had to be very present, because all the tape, all the footage from 89 was coming for this, because the connection of music, because Cesar de Melero was a DJ from Barcelona. He was knowing also Herring, because Herring, pop art, street art, everybody, music, New York, some connection was clear, but he was much more interested in music than in painting. So maybe if Herring would not go to as a studio to dance, because he wanted to be all night long dancing in a place with acid house, maybe this would not happen. But was the connection was the music, really. Ah, you like this? Ah, Harry, ah, you are here. You like this? Ah, come. Let's and they get friends immediately because the music. And in plus was Jill Vasquez was with him, so this new friend that 17 years old, hey, come, do you want to come to me with to Europe? We will go there, Barcelona also. And he said, okay. So he arrived the first day at Barcelona. They go to this club because an Italian, other one from Paris told him, in Barcelona is art studio. You must go there. So he was going there, and the little one, they let him DJ all night long. So it was like they were home, really home. And so from the first moment, it was clear that this was the la chispa, no sé cómo es diu la chispa en
The spark,
mandarès.
the
So
spark.
this was this, bam, was the implosion was from this moment. And I thought, what is so beautiful, this process of comparing all these ideas he has on the head with all his thoughts that are written in his journals, because he was also writing. So we know the history of Barcelona because the images, because a lot of people talk about this moment, but also we know his perception, because he's writing down this in his journals. And in plus we have the opinion of Jill. So it's a moment like this, very concrete, 5 hours, one day in 89 February in Barcelona. But later, this can be like a center of an enormous planet that goes everywhere. You take one direction, you arrive to something very interesting. You go there, so the music, the painting, the quota, the age, the fight, the activism, is so complete. But it's true that music was the beginning, was the, as I said, the chispa.
The spark. You mentioned Jill.
Because the tape is from Cesar, so it was clear that he had to say that the influence was there in the connection of the music.
You mentioned Jill DJing and being with Keith during the visit in Barcelona. And of course, he's one of the persons you interview. And I understand he's now very involved with the Keith Haring Foundation personally. How was it for him to revisit this time in Barcelona? How did you find it working and having him to collaborate with the documentary?
he was very impressed because always he always watched just this little 3 minutes that was in YouTube, and he once he was watching this, but never else. And this is bigger, so it takes you go in, and he was really impressed to saying me that with the film when I show him the film without him because it was before. He said, "Well, I don't know if I would be able to say nothing because I'm really impressed." Well, later we make the interview, unfortunately without going there to New York because the pandemic was with the pandemic was impossible. We could not travel there because I wanted to show. In fact, in the film, I wanted to show the footage of Barcelona and later the New York of Keith Haring, the last year of Keith Haring, because after Barcelona, so 89 for Haring starts doing this mural in Barcelona. Later he go back to New York. He decided to make the foundation because he knows that he is in the end, so he has to arrange all. So he worked to start the foundation that was really starting some days before his death. And he was doing a last mural in Pisa. So another travel to Europe, but it was just 1 month. And he was painting also something very nice in the lavatories, in the BC of the sanitaries of the Center of LGTB in New York. That is also very known.
Center. Okay.
So this year he was doing 3 things, very important, but just 3, and the foundation. So I wanted to go New York and with Jill to revisit a little bit this rest of the 89 year to see what he was doing from Barcelona till the end. Unfortunately, I could not do this, but fortunately was Brussels making this exhibit, enormous exhibit, Haring that now is in Germany, was starting in Liverpool, is because now is the 30th anniversary of the death of Haring. So of course the foundation was pushing for do something important. Even the BBC had done made a super big documentary about Haring. I don't know the name. You know it. Yes. I didn't see it, but Jill was saying me that is impressive, and we were giving some footage of our tape also to be in this in that. So it's a little bit the year, the Haring year, because see, maybe I'm sure that he will continue going up, but 30 is a number nice too. So there was a lot of energy concentrated in this 2020 because it's 30 years
Absolutely.
after his death.
Something wonderful about the footage, well, there are many wonderful things, but one of the many wonderful things is like it looks him like the children approaching him in a very spontaneous, of course, like it couldn't be any other way. It's non-stage, is how it happened. So it made me think about one of his philosophies, which was, the accessibility of art for all. And that's something that it's interesting. And again, it comes from your documentary. Salvador Seguí, who was a Catalan union leader, he also had this idea of really approaching art to the people, to everybody. And what an extraordinary coincidence that from all places in Barcelona, Keith Haring went to choose the square where Salvador Seguí was assassinated. I mean, what are the chances?
This is impressive. And now in this square, in plus there is this installed the Filmoteca, so the Central Filmoteca.
Yes. So in this square, I'll translate this: the National Film Theatre of Catalonia.
Exactly.
There now.
So if you can watch a nice film in Barcelona, for sure it's there. So there, so it's powerful. This square is true. When I was in '89, when I arrived from my travel, I was turning in Egypt, my friend told me, you know, Haring was there. I think, no. What do you say? Yes, he was painting a mural. I think, nah, you joke. I said, no, 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 it's true. And you know where? In Salvador Seguí Square. I said, no, this is too much. So since that day, even not knowing nothing about this documentary and what will happen at the end, but was very funny because from the first moment I thought this, it's impressing the power that's there because for sure this is not for nothing. And I was asking this question also to Jill, saying, do you think that he was knowing this, or was just a coincidence? And he explains, and you can see this in the documentary. He said, no, 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 no. There's never coincidence. It's always is a, ¿cómo se dice? Un guiño,
A wink.
wink.
A wink
It's a
from
wink.
destiny.
Always is a wink. And when there's something like this with Keith, always we were thinking that the universe was trying to tell us something important. So it was a moment that you realize that you have to be attentive and don't lose nothing, because there's something important. Maybe you lose it. So, bam. And it's true. For me, it's the same. It's, hey, what's happening here? So I think that these little things are inside the documentary.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have some questions from the audience. So the first one is from Alexia. She's asking if there were any problems with the format of the original film. I suppose being a home video after all these years, did you encounter any problems?
Like technically stuff, technically problems. Well, it's very funny because there's one thing that maybe nobody realized, but Alexia, I will explain you because I profit your question to explain this that I like a lot. For me, it's a wing of the documentary, but it's hard to get it. So at the beginning of this tape, this footage, usually before when you hit the tape, you want to record, you had to make 30 seconds of turning without intention, just to make the tape run a little bit, to take the speed and the boom and go good. When you arrive to a place, and since the beginning you start to turn, is because you cannot wait for these 30 seconds of little patience. You have to shot good.
So it's like,
But in this tape, it is starting since the first second is starting shooting already on Haring. So I imagine this girl arriving there and watching the situation, making record directly, not making on and later waiting and later recording. So direct. So at the beginning of the footage, there's some lines of because the synchronisms of the video were not good enough. So there are things that theoretically they are not good, but precisely this gives the it's like a gift, because this just can be because it's old, because was done with a lot of energy and a lot of emotion and not under the professionality. So there's a lot of meaning for me of this beginning of the footage, so imperfection and with all these taste of the 80s. And all the footage has enormous taste of the 80s. All the, let's say, what we consider now not enough quality, for me is precisely the contrary. Is all this imperfection is precisely the quality, because you cannot do it now. This you have to do it. This has to be done 30 years ago, and this is the power, and this is the value of the historical thing. Super beautiful for me.
I agree. Bia says, ask, what is the, sorry, I don't know if it is Bia or Bia, B-I-A. Ask, what is the most fascinating or shocking thing you have learned about Keith Haring as part of the process of the documentary that you didn't know before?
Well, have to think a little bit about. Um, well, there's this part of generosity that is inside him. Um, I had it clear because he was going to Barcelona and doing this just for nothing, just because he was feeling it. But at the same moment, discovering what was happening all this day, he was being generous with everybody, with the kids, as you were talking, Ramon. With the kids, he was like he was like them, direct, boom, easily, bam. Later, somebody was going there to talk and saying, "Hey, it's very nice what you do. I have a friend, tal, tal, tal." He was talking a little bit with him and was making a drawing for him. There. He was going to the others and to the disco and was painting there. So this is incredible. This is incredible when you are tired. He was coming from France where a big friend, a super friend was dead there, and he was very sad. And he arrived sad, quite dead because he is dying, and he's giving all this to doesn't matter who, and he's choosing a place because he thinks that this is the place more poor of the city with more syringes and with more drugs problem and with more problems, and he's going there to give his emotions there. I don't know, I think that this generosity is was always thinking that Haring was somebody little bit engaged but less less
This
human. This quality, human quality he had, I think, is even passing the art, his art. I think he had a oof. And when you listen Jill how he talked about him, how he was mm, watching and realizing little details when maybe he could be like a pop art star and nothing else. And no, he never wanted to be something special. Wanted to be always a man of the street. This is very nice, eh? And he was dying 30. Imagine after 30 years more doing things. Oof,
absolutely.
a
Another,
giant.
I think another of the main characters of the film, and probably I've noticed that more because I am from there, is Barcelona, the city itself. I think this is a Barcelona pre-gentrification, pre-Olympic Games, and before it became this famous tourist resort. I get a sense from watching the film that there is a sense of nostalgia about that Barcelona that's gone, that's no longer there. Again, I suppose that was part of your intention as well. Yes, that description of that Barcelona that we've lost in a way with the arrival of after the Olympic Games, this popularity.
Yeah. It's true. It seems that now with the time, it seems that it was impossible to go in another direction because it's like we cannot. But it's a pity because this neighborhood precisely had a character very personal, and it's true that was even even let's say dangerous quarter, but it's like downtown. Everywhere is like this. But at the end, downtown, the rich ones, they want the downtown for them. So this was the Olympic Games was a big excuse to, they say, no, to clean the neighborhoods, but it was not to clean, was to push people out and take it for them, to take it for the architectural lawyers and all the people with his offices there, and also Barcelona at the end. We didn't want, but it's like this. It become well now with the pandemic. It seems stupid what I'm saying, but now was really sell to the tourism. So Barcelona has lost a lot of his character in the last years. Now I can talk now that is very different because there are no tourists, and it's much more nice to live in this city. But of course, there's so much things done and built for the tourism that now have no sense, has no sense, nothing. So well, I suppose that we will have to arrive. We will have to arrange to arrive to a solution because if the tourists we want really that they come like they were. Now I think that with the pandemic, a lot of people is starting to say, well, maybe it's better to don't go again to this so anti-popular way to live Barcelona. Like we were living last year, it was impossible to continue. Now the pandemic changed it all, and I don't know what will happen. But and this was really starting at the end of the 80s because they plan to go up through the money arriving to organize the Olympic Games, and this was the real excuse. We were a little bit astonished. Oh, very nice, Olympic Games. But with this was arriving all the bad things also. So after the time, I don't know, even I don't know. Maybe I would say no. I would prefer to don't have the Olympic Games in continue like Barcelona was, little more dirt. Well, okay, doesn't matter. So but just become like a big store, and this a little
Absolutely.
bit.
That's something as someone being from Barcelona, it struck me seeing the documentary. It brought me back to that pre-Olympic Games Barcelona, and I think it's very well portrayed. We could continue. There are many interesting things that the film, as you said, is the art, is the politics, the activism, the fight against AIDS. But
Yeah.
our time is up. I would just to end want to ask you, what are the plans for the documentary? It's really fresh from the oven. Really, we've had the privilege to show it, but what's the idea? Are you going to release it in
The
cinemas?
idea when I decided to, because with the footage, the first thing I did was to make a little to organize these footage to see how the impression it could be organized a little bit with some with journals of Keith, so his words, and was later I thought if I put something else, it will be very interesting for the people from Catalonia to realize that this thing was happening in Barcelona and was very important because this, and blah, blah, blah. So I thought that the normal audience for this imagination I have is the Catalan audience. Catalan audience, so for me is public television. So I was proposing to TV3, and they accepted a little bit. They gave me a little bit of money to can complete what I had. Now the 3rd of December, because the 1st of December is the Mundial Dia del SIDA, no sé cómo
Eighth
digo en
day.
inglés.
1st of December is the 8th day. Yeah.
Exactly. So it will be broadcast on air the December the 3rd because this. And it's also in 2020, so to celebrate a little bit all, no? Because in fact the documentary is dedicated to all the people that was fighting for AIDS and dying for AIDS, but fighting. And one thing that I like the most on the documentary is Ferran Pujol, that is a really activist that having the same story that Herring diagnosed the same moment, but he was not dying. He was much lucky, and he was not dying. So his life, and he was continuing fighting till today, that he continues fighting, and it appears on the documentary at the end saying, yeah, I can talk about 30 years, positive years, because a lot of things. And in fact, if I have to confess, If I have to born again, I would like to have again the because the connection, the life, the quality of life I had lived because all this fight. I have no words to talk about this. So he is happy for having a reason to live like this. So, well, I think that this is because it's true that the impulse of the age was giving a lot of success in some parts.
I think the message is very powerful. I think the message is really universal and will appeal to world audience. So thank you, Lulu Martorell, for bringing this fantastic documentary to us, for being present for the Q&A today. We wish you the best for the trajectory of the documentary. Thank you all the audience today for following us. Thank you to our partners for the festival, and in particular for the Catalan Films, Institut Ramon Llull and Catalans UK. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, everybody. The same. I hope you enjoy the film. And to be here for me is quite another success of the age, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lulu. Good night.